But I mean, when we first came out, I mean, the haters were just like, "Oh my god!" And
Yeah.
I remember Paul would get on and he would try to defend it, and he'd be like, "But it does this and it does that," and they would just keep hating. And now we're to the point where so many people either have gearhead or have shot gearhead and stuff. Where if someone says anything's negative, a lot of times the people that know, they defend for
They'll
us.
intervene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have. I just
And
have
that's
to
what
sit
you
back.
want.
Yeah, I just sit back and watch. It's like give me some more popcorn. Because this is going to get good.
I'm here for the comments. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Ghostcast podcast. I'm JP Ashworth. This is Keith Coleman, and today we are with Skip Peterson with Gearhead Archery at the Iowa Deer Classic 2025. Mr. Skip,
How are you doing?
how are you doing?
I'm
This
doing
has been
good.
a long time.
It has.
We've been talking for a while.
We have.
I think it was, 8 months ago.
For sure.
We started. You came down to South Alabama and got with my buddy at his archery shop.
I
and
did.
Started carrying some bows. Y'all took them apart, rebuilt them, and did everything, which kind of goes into a little bit of the level of service and culture behind Gearhead, which we'll get into in a minute. But just go ahead if you want to tell us or tell the viewers, about Gearhead, your start, coming up, and where you're at now.
Well, sometimes in life, your career chooses you. It's just, you become what you think of most. And, I've been bow hunting since I was 12 years old, and I'm going to be 59 this year. And it's been, a major thread in my life. And as a machinist, I always had the mindset where, like a lot of people have ideas, but they can't do anything with them. Where when you're a machinist, you can take ideas and you can say, hey, what if I do this? And you can actually make working prototypes that develop into products.
Right.
Where if you have an idea and you don't have those abilities, well, then you have to seek out someone to make it for you, which might be more costly. And then when you have to get people involved, sometimes your ideas get spread out too much, where you can if you do everything yourself, you can kind of keep things internally.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so, Gearhead, you want to go ahead and just maybe
Yeah,
show the
yeah.
viewers? Hey, folks, JP, and real quick, we want to take a little time to say thank you to our sponsors. First one being Ape Canyon. For over 40 years, the crew at Ape Canyon Outfitters has been keeping the best of the best safe. Fire rescue teams, law enforcement, the U.S. military, even the Secret Service and Navy SEALs. Yeah, these guys don't mess around when it comes to safety. And now they're bringing that same elite level of expertise to the hunting world with their hunting saddles, ropes, and accessories, all 100% made in the USA at their shop in Butler, Pennsylvania. Give hunters the same confidence and reliability the professionals have trusted for decades. So when you gear up with Ape Canyon Outfitters, you're not just getting solid gear, you're investing in safety, quality, and a rock-solid reputation. Check them out today at apecanyonOutfitters.com. And hey, while you're hanging out in your Ape Canyon saddle, why not send some Mamba arrows downrange? Mamba Archery is straight up changing the game with the first ever centrifugal weave arrows on the market. We're talking next level penetration, insane durability, and laser-like accuracy. Grab them in 1K, 3K, or straight carbon, whatever fits your shooting style. If you're looking to save some cash, the Impala line's got you covered. But if you're ready to step up your game with centrifugal weave tech, Mamba Archery is the way to go. Your wallet and your setup will thank you. So don't wait. Check out Mamba Archery today at mambaarchery.com and grab yourself some Mamba missiles. Big thanks to Ape Canyon Outfitters and Mamba Archery for helping sponsor this podcast. Now back to the show.
Well, we are a different looking bow. I mean, this is a carbon fiber gearhead. And the thing, we look different, and I like that.
Yep.
Like I've had people come to me, they're like, well, why don't you just make a bow like everyone else is? And I'm like, well, then you're like everyone else. I mean, I kind of like the idea that we look different. We'll beat you on, the engineering behind it,
Right,
So that's
right,
kind
right.
of what we're looking for. But I mean, when we first came out, I mean, the haters were just like, oh my god. And
Yeah.
I remember Paul would get on and he would try to defend it, and he'd be like, but it does this and it does that, and they would just keep hating. And now we're to the point where so many people either have gearhead or have shot gearhead and stuff, where if someone says anything's negative, a lot of times the people that know, they defend
They'll
for us.
intervene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I, mean,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have. I just
And
have
that's
to
what
sit
you
back.
want.
Yeah, I just sit back and watch. It's like give me some more popcorn. Because this is going to get good.
As
I'm
as
here
you
for the
said the other day-
comments.
yeah, you
You
said
know?
the other night as he closed the other night, he said, and the haters, we love you too.
Yeah,
Well, actually, it was like, hey, we closed it out, and I was like,
yeah, yeah.
all right, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. And to all the haters, keep talking shit because we love you too. Because the haters are your elevators.
Yes,
Right.
they are.
A
The
comment's
haters
a
are
comment,
elevators.
never good. It's
Sure.
You're just helping the algorithm, baby.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
But I mean, the thing of it is, our background is robotic equipment.
Okay.
So we made a thing called an LBD, which would shuttle heavy loads back and forth, and it didn't twist or torque. So we took what we knew off the LBD and we built a riser that is more stiff and robust. And the stiffer you make a riser, the more energy that goes into an arrow and all these engineering things where, it just kind of makes sense. This one here is a carbon fiber, and our carbon fibers we actually machine out of plate material, so it's not like a cast or anything like that. It comes in a sheet. It's got 32 layers, and we just take away the stuff we don't need and add the precision connecting points and make a bow riser out of it.
now that
That's
grip, that's
That's just a standard grip,
okay.
but it also has the slider end of it, so you can move your grip forward and back and left to right, so you can actually, without changing your shot, you can actually maneuver your grip to how you really want to feel the bow. So like
That's
even if you're
sweet.
putting like weird grip torque in,
Yep.
you can actually move the grip to
counter it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to counter
Yeah.
it.
And
Yeah.
can't, and now I might be wrong, but can somebody in the field work on this to a certain extent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's also ambidextrous, right? Some
Yep.
of them.
Yeah, well, all of them are. So,
Okay.
so basically, when we machine the riser, this is the center line of the riser. It's the same this way as it is that way. That's what allows us to have one side than the other. When you're setting up your bow, you can use this to help set up. Since this is the center, when you start lining stuff up, you got all these different reference points that you can look down and say, okay, that needs to come up or the back. You can kind of. It helps you. It helps you set up the bow too with all the different references that you have on this bow. Your sights mount here, stabilizer down there. If you make it left-handed, well then your sights up here. You just kind of flip
Right.
it. So basically,
Right.
you flip the grip, and then you move the cables to the other side to make it a true left-handed bow.
And aren't there some other grip options too?
There-
Isn't
yeah. So we have 6 different grip options. This here is a standard. We also make a 1911 slider, and then like a flat back, which is more for like target shooting, where they like the flat section, and those are all sliders. But then we also have the carbon grips, and we have the regular standard and the regular flat back. But we're going to switch everything over to the slider, just because everyone gravitates to the slider, and it just. I mean,
Well,
once,
it's a
once you have a
perk.
slider, it's like, why
Yeah.
would you want one of the other things,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
And from an inventory standpoint, it kind of helps us there that we know that the end customer is going to want a slider. It's either going to be a standard, a 1911, or a flatback.
That's
Now,
sweet.
you have one. What's the ATA? 18.
We do have an 18.
An
yeah.
18.
Yeah.
I mean that joker.
Yeah, this is a 24.
Right.
An 18, we can only get to 29-inch draw, but
Okay.
that covers a lot of people anyway.
But I
on
mean,
that.
talk about a small blind or a tight
Yeah.
setup.
Actually, the world record black bear right now was shot with a T18, an 18-inch bow.
Okay.
I remember when he shot this really big bear at the time. We didn't know it was the world record, but he reached out and said, "Hey, I shot this with a T18." And he goes, all my friends were like, hey, they all knew he was hunting a big bear. And he goes, oh, you're going to use your Hoyt? And he goes, oh, no, I'm using the Gearhead, So
Oh, man.
no,
Nice, nice.
Little bow, big bear.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
little bow, big bear.
So,
Well, also there's a lot of other customization. Talking about the personal touch on their Facebook page. You can go down. Most recently, you did an order where the color scheme. It was that colorful one that you did.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
So that was a Cerakote, which I didn't even think was possible. I always thought Cerakote, you're going to put too much heat in the carbon. It's going to be, this or that. But then I got talking to my Cerakote guy, and he's like, oh, Skip, I can do it. So basically, they had a YouTube channel with a really sexy logo with crazy colors, and we matched the logo to the bow, and then we matched the strings to the bow. And then I texted him today. I said, we got your bows done, but we need to talk about accessories. So now we're looking at what can we do accessory-wise to bring the whole theme together.
Yeah,
That's
and
sweet.
I mean, so people can. There's a certain level of customization.
Oh, it's
people
almost
can
like
get.
Orange County Chopper. It's like
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
that's-
hey, what can we build you today?
And then you
Right,
just
right.
had another one dipped, I guess, the other day in camo. Which camo
Yep,
was it?
that's Bottom Lambs.
Bottom line. We're
Bottom
gonna
line.
have some pictures on the screen
Yep.
here of what,
Yep.
of what
Yep.
you've done.
Yeah, it just basically when someone wants something special, it's like, well, what do you want to do? You know, I mean,
Right.
the sky's the limit. You know, anything's possible.
And that kind of goes into like what we talk about with the Ridge Ghost guys. You know, like we're guys that run around the woods and we have ghostly face masks on. It's all about like being a kid and still doing that, and still embracing the kid side of yourself. Being able to customize your bow however you want. That it's like you said, that's West Coast Chopper stuff. You know, that's kid stuff.
You
that
already
get
know
to
the
do.
idea that I've been
I
batting
already
around.
know.
Yeah, I know.
We've already been
Yep.
talking about it for just to throw it out to you. We've been talking about a little thing, and
Oh,
we'll go
yeah.
into it
yeah.
afterwards. but
Yeah.
we've been talking about a little thing.
But also, so what are there any new bows out or any new technology from Gearhead
So
for
this-
2025?
So this one is I've just brought to people to shoot is it's a 20-inch pivot. So this is like the newest technology we did. This on a typical bow, this is static and your bow bends over that specific spot. This has a bearing on each side, so as you draw your bow, this rotates and it takes all the stress out of the limbs. So from a limb standpoint, it's really good for the whole system.
Is this longevity? Was the mind behind it longevity
So,
or?
so when people, a lot of times I do work on people's bow too. So like where they've been shooting them for 5-6 years. We've been in business 10 years this year. So I mean, we've been at this a little bit. Let's say someone wants to change their draw weight or something, they'll send it back, and it's like a 6-7 year old bow. When I take it down, I was seeing little wear patterns developing where the limbs always bend. And just on a whim, I'm like, well, if that, because we got two different plates here, if we put bearing, we could kind of make something where it would kind of alleviate that. So, you know, the first year I just put it out to the field staff people, and we shot a few of them and, you know, registered thousands and thousands of shots. And when I took it back apart to analyze it, there was like no wear. I mean, it was like looking at those limbs, it was like they were brand new. And I actually called the guy. I said, did you shoot this? And he goes, oh yeah, I got thousands of shots through that. And then,
That's insane.
so at that point, it's just better for, as a manufacturer, just better for the bow if your limbs are just not being stressed, you know.
Right.
And actually the bow got quieter, the hand shot got better, and it picked up a little bit of speed. We're just talking, you know, 3-4 feet per second, but it didn't degrade it in speed. So
Right,
I mean
right.
that was good.
So what? And now I know, looking to the future, I know I saw on your Facebook page about a new warehouse. Is that because things are getting busy or getting bigger?
So Gearhead, I mean, we started out in 2008 as a think tank. It was Paul Trapowski and I, and we were just trying to develop different bow models and try to pitch it to other bow companies. There was just two of us. So we, in a course of a year, we made like 14 different models, and we went and pitched it to, you know, Matthews and Bowtech and Barnett and, you know, you name it. We went to pretty much all of them. And then for the ones we didn't go to, we went to the ATA show, and we'd take their engineers back to the hotel, and we'd just open up the box and like, look, you know, we got 14 different models and things like that. At the end of the day, Paul ended up selling a package of about 17 patents to one of the major manufacturers, and we just kind of divorced ourselves from those models.
Right.
And then we came out with this system, and I remember the first time Paul shot it, and he kind of got big-eyed, and he looked at me and goes, you shoot it. And I shot it, and I looked at him and I go, yeah, we're onto something here. That was like the little T18. And then, so that was the only model we had was the T18, and then we found out, we got thinking, well, if we went to a 20-inch, we could get longer draw lengths. So we went to a 20-inch, and that got us out to like 27, 28. And they're like, well, if we go to 24, you know, so just by elongating our sides and using the same members, I mean, a lot of people think, hey, it's an erector set, you know, but you know, you can, just by changing a couple elements, you can change the whole feel and the length of the bow, so you can start shooting, you know, longer. So we hung on the 24s for a few years, and then welcome to the Deer Classic.
Welcome to the Deer Classic.
It's life, folks.
And Paul started shooting some competition. He went to Vegas, and he came back from Vegas saying, we need to make longer bows because people want longer stuff. So then at that point, we got into like the 30s, the 33s, the 36, and then later we even we got a 40, you know. So we go anywhere from an 18-inch to a 40-inch bow, you know.
Wow.
That's insane.
So, you know, that's a good segue. And if they go to your site and they're looking at the 18,
Yep.
the 24, and some of the other models, what would be something that you would advise them to base their decision on? I mean, yes, obviously it's shorter, it's smaller, but are your shorter bows more forgiving than the longer one? I mean, kind of like what's that?
I pretty much, our best sellers are the 24s. I think it's an easy transition for someone to go from a 30-inch bow to 24, and our bows being a shorter axle, they shoot like a longer bow. You know,
Okay.
it's not like I don't feel like I'm giving up anything, but if I'm in a ground blind, I mean, the shorter axle to axle, or if you're in a tree saddle, or if you're, whatever, the huntability of a shorter ATA, it's off the charts. It really helps you become a more successful hunter on doing that. And most of your shots are 30 yards and under. I mean, I think the average is probably 18.
Yeah,
But yes, that's kind of the
have you
thought
guys
process.
have you guys done any like long shooting? Is there anybody out there with Gearhead doing any like long range
There-
shooting?
there
Not
was-
that it's in
well,
comparative, but
Yeah.
There was one guy that was on the field staff. He won twice Colorado long shot competition. I think it was like 120 yards or something like that with an 18-inch bow, and then he was shooting some other stuff. And
Is this the same guy that was laying down and shooting on his side?
No, that would be me.
Oh, was that you?
I did some of that stuff.
Okay, because on the face, they had guys laying down, like not prone, but on their side, taking shots.
Oh yeah, like an
that's
18-inch bow. I mean, for turkey hunting, I don't like to be in a blind. I like to be out exposed in that. And these shorter ones, I can just sit on my butt, and I don't even have the turkey comes in. I can just I don't have to move. The movement is off the charts.
Yeah.
And then I have an 18-inch turkey bow where I have the draw weight so light, it's like 2 pounds. It's really close to a lockup. But I throw the timing off so it won't lock up. But like if a turkey comes in the field, I can just draw and just hold it there because and then when he comes in close to the decoys, it's just a matter of getting anchored.
Less movement, the better.
Yeah.
Well, smaller window, window
Yeah.
and actual bow itself.
But then also too, I guided out west for antelope and stuff for a number of years, and a lot of these ground blinds for antelope, when the antelope comes in, they draw, and as the antelope comes closer, they don't even realize it. They start raising up a little bit with the window, and at the shot, the limb and that it all hits the top of the blind, and it's a disaster with these little ones. I mean, you can literally just put
Right.
right up against the
I've
window.
done that, by the way.
Oh,
I've
you hit the top of the blind?
I hit the top of the blind. I actually did it the first. Okay, so it's kind of a funny story. I did it the first time I tried to shoot at a turkey, and then I was like, I'm never doing that again. So I ended up hunting with my gun the next day, and ended up shooting one with a bow years later. But you say like 18-inch bow in that sense, like it sounds wild. That just sounds wild to me. That would be what I would love to do that with turkeys. He knows I'm the boys love their deer and whitetail. And don't get me wrong, I love chasing a good whitetail. But turkeys, I'm always looking for a new avenue to go hunt some turkeys.
Yeah.
And that's an avenue right there.
Usually when I come
I'll
to a show,
probably getting one now, dang it. My wife's going to hate me for that.
when
but
I
I'm gonna
come to
be
a
getting
show
one.
like this, they see the 18 or the 20, and most of the people are like, hey, that's a South Dakota bow. And I'm like, what? And oh, yeah, you can put it right out the window. I'm like, well, I don't think that's what we designed it for, but that it's kind of like, well, yeah, that's a South Dakota bow.
Sure.
So I don't know what goes on in South Dakota, but I kind of got an idea here coming into some of the deer shows.
Well, good
That's
deal.
awesome.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by. We know you got to get back to your booth. Tell the audience where they can find you on all the socials and.
Yeah, I mean, your website, www.gearheadarchery.com, has a lot of information, and we're in Facebook, Instagram, all that type of stuff. But I mean, if you just Google it, there's plenty of information out there too.
All right. We appreciate it, Skip. Thank you
All
so much.
Appreciate
right.
you, Skip.
All right.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Thanks for watching,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
And cut.